Queda el voto.
With the ring of a bell, Judge Meluska Cano ended the hearing, which could decide whether ex-President Alberto Fujimori will remain a free man. He'd been serving a 25-year jail term for human rights crimes and corruption, until President Pedro Pablo Kuczynski pardoned the controversial former leader on Christmas Eve, barring any further prosecutions against him. But lawyers argued he should still face trial, along with 22 others accused, for a recently opened human rights case.
We believe that the rights of the victims limit the president's power to grant him a pardon. There are international measures which protect the victim's right to justice in such cases.
However, the lawyer representing Fujimori, who was also pardoned on health grounds, said he could not go back to prison.
He would die in prison. He is 80 years old and has severe health problems, which at the moment have not been questioned by any medical authority.
Fujimori was convicted in 2009 for 2 massacres carried out by a military death squad under his command. But there were more, including a case in which 6 men were abducted, tortured and killed in rural Pativilca in 1992.
I don't want to remember that night. They didn't say anything. They just ordered everyone out of the house. They beat everyone. It was a gruesome scene.
The memory weighs heavily on José Luis Agüero, as he told CGTN how armed men took his older brother Pedro, along with 5 others.
I heard screams coming from the hill in front of my house. It was as if the hill was screaming when there's normally silence in the early hours of the morning. They were torturing them. They screamed terribly. The men screamed as they were tortured with blow torches. They were being burned. It was unbearable.
He found their bodies strewn in this field the following day. This cross with their names marks the spot. But more than a quarter of a century later, Agüero is still fighting for justice. Standing vigil outside the courtroom, activists and the victims' relatives demand that the pardoned former leader Alberto Fujimori be put back on trial for a death squad massacre for which they hold him responsible. The judges have reserved judgment. Dan Collyns, CGTN, Lima.